Hello, good evening, welcome to our front. Tonight, we are pitch camp at the Electoral Commission for a single purpose. I'm sure by now you know that December 17th there will be 3 elections. It's the first of the 3 that's contentious. Of course, we've always elected our assembly members and unit committee members. But it's that referendum, the controversy over whether people should vote no or yes, and what really the referendum question is about is the crux of our engagement today. Here at the EC headquarters, we'll be able to summon 2 big men. They are both deputy commissioners of the Electoral Commission. In the course of this conversation, you first hear from the man in charge of corporate affairs, who recently has got into a lot of trouble for comments allegedly made in connection with this referendum. In the second part of the conversation, the man who wears the boots on the ground, the man in charge of operations, will tell us the details of what's going to happen on the day. After this break, we commence our front. You welcome back. This is our front. This evening, our first guest is Dr. Eric Bosman-Asare. In fact, he taught me human resource management and development. He's a political scientist. He headed that department of political science. He has a lot of background in local government issues too. Doc, you're welcome to our front.
Thank you, and good evening to your viewers.
I hope you are doing well.
Oh, by God's grace, I'm doing very, very well.
You've gotten into trouble recently, I'm sure you are aware. The claim is that when you are supposed to be the independent arbiter, you are out there waving the flag, asking people to vote yes. True?
Well, it's not true because the host was trying to get me to explain what are some of the best practices in local government management, and I ended up explaining that the literature supports partisan local government elections. And even in that interview, I made it very clear that when you look at Ghana, what we are trying to do, those who are in supportive of yes, they have very strong arguments they are making, and those who are also supportive of no, they have very strong arguments they are making. So it's important we find a common ground. So if we think we want to have a partisan local government system, what are some of the interventions from the no which can be inserted into the system so that at the end of the day you have a system that is responsive to the needs of the good people of this country. And I don't know why, if we are doing such an education, somebody will take one aspect of your argument and make a conclusion based on an interview which lasted for over 30 minutes. So that's the argument. So I understand that the nature of our political system and even the extensiveness of partisanship in our politics, everything you say, people may end up misconstruing it, or people may end up using it to champion a cause they strongly believe in it. But I think on the whole, I wasn't on that platform to champion for any particular cause, because I believe all of us are Ghanaians, and if there are certain things, education, and having been an academic, I'm still an academic because I still interested in research issues. So that was basically that. So anyone who listened to the entire interview will conclude that, oh, he was talking about the literature argument for yes, the argument for no.
Now, I'll ask you that question. The question that's generated the controversy. But already, based on the misconception about what you said, on that particular day, there are some who are saying you should leave the job, you should go back to teach, and leave the EC's job. Are you resigning anytime soon?
Well, I'm very sure in Ghana there are procedures if somebody might be fired from the job, if somebody wants to resign on his or her own volition, there are procedures to follow. I don't think it's in somebody's job or somebody's responsibility to tell another person to resign or for somebody to sack. There are laws in place, and I think...
You have not given an emphatic, I will resign or I will not resign.
Oh, I will resign, or you want me to say I will resign or I will not resign?
Yes.
Okay, then I will not resign. Read my lips, I will not resign.
Emphatically.
Emphatically.
and okay, so it's interesting to note that, but let's stay with the substantive issue. This referendum, what is the actual question?
The actual question which I have here, let me read. Are you in favor of the bill to amend Clause 3 of Article 55 of the 1992 Constitution to allow political parties to sponsor candidates for elections to district assemblies or lower local government units? Yes or no?
So the question really means what?
What the question means, when you look at our Constitution, Article 55.3, it talks about several things political parties can do, shaping the life of the people, doing several other things. And that same article mentions that the only thing they cannot do is to be able to sponsor candidates for local government elections. So currently, the assembly member elections and the unit committee election we are having on December 17th, no political party can come and say, Mr. Akwa is our candidate, Mr. Wusu is our candidate, Mr. Sobojo is our... No political party can do that. So once people vote yes, and you know the constitutional requirement is that 40% of registered voters must show up on December 17th. Once they show up, out of that 40%, 75% of that 40% must vote yes. So once these people vote yes, what it actually means is that, and irrespective of any other development in parliament or anywhere, it means in 2023, if we are voting for assembly members again, they will be they can have parties can sponsor candidates to go and take part. That's all. So that's what now parties are not supposed to sponsor anyone.
Not supposed to.
They are not supposed to, but we know
do they do it?
Theoretically they are not supposed to do that. But in practice, you will not be able to monitor.
Really?
No, how would you be able to monitor?
The Electoral Commission.
No, we cannot monitor. We don't have that capacity to monitor.
Why
but the way
don't you have the capacity to monitor?
The Electoral Commission, in each district, we have a maximum of five workers. And some of the districts are very, very large.
Yeah,
they can stretch. And our officers are normally located in the district capitals. So if the parties want to operate, it's not something they will do openly. If they will do something like that, they will do it privately. And now that we have this WhatsApp and other things, some of these things can be done in secret. So practically, if they do it, how would you be able to identify? But per the law, they are not supposed to sponsor candidates to take part in local government elections.
So you say that you are incapacitated as an Electoral Commission to prevent political parties from sponsoring people, even in the December 17th election?
No, we cannot police it, because when you look at our mandate clearly, and even per what the Constitution says, the district assembly elections are supposed to be non-partisan. Non-partisan, if somebody says that, oh, they are being sponsored by a political, they won't come and tell you openly. And normally, you know the way the cases work out, you must have somebody who is a complainant. And we've never had anyone who is a complainant.
Never in the history of the Electoral Commission.
We've never had anyone who has come to complain. At least for the few years, I've been here 1 year, and when you ask colleagues, nobody will tell you that somebody has come to complain.
So this law has never been applied to actually deal with anybody?
No, it has never. Because, no, the political, if they want to do it, there are several ways. People say there are several ways to kill a couple. So if at all they are not doing openly, if they are doing it, it's not openly.
So this law is observed more in its breach than actual following?
I wouldn't say so, but I think from some few studies that have been done by people who I'm associated with, they tell me that most of the assembly members identify with Party A or Party B. And even interestingly, when we do the filing of nominations, after some time you have people who will come back and tell you that I'm no longer interested in contesting. When you ask, people will try to tell you, for all you know, they belong to the same camp, and the thinking is that Mr. Akwa and Mr. Sari, if you go together, you may end up splitting the vote, and you allow Mr. Owusu to emerge victorious. So all these allegations we hear, but nobody has tested it. So
currently, in reality, de facto, we are doing active party politics and candidates aligned with political parties. I
hope that is your conclusion.
I'm asking you.
Or you are asking, if you ask me, when you say de facto, I think as somebody who has done some work in some of these areas before, there could be some element of de facto.
Real politic.
In terms, no, the assembly itself is a political structure.
Yes.
So as for that one, irrespective of even the parties openly doing it, once people are elected, the DC appointed by the President of the Republic, and we know, I've never heard of the President of the Republic appointing somebody from the opposition or another party. In many instances, if they have appointed people outside their political parties, maybe a minor, a smaller party. So technically, practically, and even theoretically, clearly the assembly is a political structure. But a political structure does not necessarily mean it's a partisan
I
structure,
agree.
but
Yes.
some element of partisanship clearly. I think many Ghanaians who understand the workings of the assembly will conclude that there is some
Is
partisanship.
this in the minority of cases or the predominant situation across the country? Is that regardless of what the law says, the political parties are fielding candidates?
No, let's be very clear. We all live in this country. Even students' elections, we do here. I taught in Legon for almost 10 years, and you were a student at Legon. Even student politics, we hear, though we may not have the concrete evidence. But in Ghana, perceptions, some perceptions can equate reality. So you can see that the political parties have become very, very intrusive in our lives. Many, many places they are there. So at times, when you look at it critically, clearly someone will say, although political parties are debated, officially, openly they are debated, but in reality, what they do in secret, how would you be able to tell? So these are things going forward as a country.
So
we must
from
confront
the
reality.
word go, this provision was never going to be implemented or enforced by you in the Electoral Commission because it will be difficult to monitor.
No, in terms of enforcing the Electoral Commission, we've been doing our best. But I mentioned to you that the electoral areas are...
Now, have you ever...
We've never had any complaint of somebody coming to tell us that, oh, we think this person is MPP or this person is NDC or is being brought here by the CPP. We've not received such a complaint.
Not at all. Okay, so have you also sought to find out on your own?
We have a lot of things to do.
Yes.
So once complaints have not come, the precious time we have to do our work, we are behind time.
Interesting.
We are not going to invest that time in something you can never achieve.
There's an indication that many say is the problem. That even if you look at the flyers of the people contesting these elections, they openly display colors related to that of political parties. Is that an issue that hints the commission of a likely breach of the law?
No, it doesn't hint at all because, we understand the parties have their colors.
Yes.
And recently we recruited some new staff. I think JoyNews was there.
Yeah.
And we told them that per the nature of our job, even the colors you put on in terms of your dress, you must dress in a particular way. You can't just wear anything at all to come to work because we are very mindful of the colors of the political. Yeah. And even beyond that, the parties have their symbols. As for the colors, when people see green and I think white and black, people may end up associating that with the NDC. Yes. And when people see blue, maybe white and red, they may associate that with the MPP.
But these colors are
these colors are not for them. The colors don't belong to NDC.
Oh, okay.
The colors don't belong to MPP. They are not for them. So if any person is contesting as an assembly member and chooses to use green, black, and white, blue, that's not for them. But once you have you don't have the symbol. Once you have everything that encapsulates what the NDC stands for, the MPP stands for, then we may have a cause. But so far, we've not had that. And we've not had anyone coming to complain that.
You've not had anybody go up on the platforms that you provide and either identify with a political party or give signs that they are linked to a political party?
So far, we've not had that. Last year there was an election at Menya Krobo.
Yeah.
And we did the platform. We didn't have that. The reality is that our people are very, very smart. If indeed they have the support of a particular political party, we should expect that when they come for the platform mounting, where they are going to outdoor their manifesto, etc., they won't come in party colors. If even they should come in party colors and nobody goes to complain, and they don't have the party symbol. So these are lines, or they are so blurred that to prosecute or to take action can be very, very difficult.
Are they asked to disclose their source of funding?
Assembly level, we don't do that so much. Well, most of the things, they are supported by the Electoral Commission.
Would that not be a way of getting to know whether they are funded by one group or the other?
No, these are things...
Because when they lie on record, you can actually use it against them.
These are things in future we must be looking at it. Even nationally, those who contest for presidency, the disclosure... If even it doesn't work properly. Unlike many countries like the Federal Elections Commission, where they will make sure if Mr. Akwa, you support a party, the amount of money you can use to support is capped. Yes. There are rules. But I know in Ghana, ours is a work in progress. But we shouldn't also forget that The US Congress has been there for more than 240 years. The British Parliament over 400 years. Ours is barely 92 to now. We are looking at
Almost
27.
27 years.
So ours is still a work in progress. It's our expectation that we'll get to a point where our citizens will understand, all of us will understand that political parties, in terms of their source of financing, etc., these are things that must be public information. So that if you are giving money to them, we need to know the amount of money any individual is giving.
Okay.
So that it helps our
And
political
they ought to
system.
disclose.
They ought to. No, it's very, very. These are once people are giving you money, it's public money, money. Although it's not the state sponsored by citizens in Ghana giving you, you should be able to account how in many countries that do public financing, they make sure the monies are used in such a way. If you are hiring a hotel, make sure you are using a moderate one, so that it's not like you are going to use the monies to enrich yourself.
Deep within your heart, when you are going to vote on December 17, what will you vote on? Yes or no?
Is it no? You know, December 17, we are not only voting on the referendum.
Yes,
we are voting for the
referendum question I'm asking.
Okay.
For your what do you call it, assembly member, I don't know them, but I want to know which way will you vote.
No, when you look at the argument for the referendum, the yes argument.
No, the question I asked you was whether you are going to vote yes or no.
No, voting is secret in Ghana, and it's clearly specified in the constitution. I think one of the clauses under 55 says that voting in Ghana is by secret ballot. So you are not supposed to disclose who you are going to vote for.
Is it prior to or after?
Prior to. Even after you can say it, but there is no guarantee that that's what
what you voted on in the
Well, we've had instances where people have done certain things, but voting in Ghana is secret.
Okay.
There are many people who may even be walking around telling people vote yes, vote no. But on the day of the voting, they can change. But didn't we have an instance where a presidential candidate voted in 1992? Yeah. That place, the person got 0. But the same person.
Jenna Eskin, this is the Jack and Jill School Police Station.
Oh, Jack and Jill, yeah. And those days, some of us were young men who coming up, and so we were asking, how could you get 0 in a place you voted? So
and
that
he
means
asked that question himself, that if the family did not vote for him, he didn't vote for himself.
And there are possibilities that he even denied himself over there.
Really?
No, there are several points. We are speculating.
In the presidential election. Well, it's interesting dynamics that goes into it. Now, I'm actually tapping into your competence as a political scientist who understands local governance too. What are the arguments? First, tell us, what was the legislative intent behind having to put 55.3 in the Constitution?
You know, when you look at constitutions by countries, there is what we call the original understanding.
Yeah.
The framers of the Constitution, they normally have some understanding, and they know why. Let's be very frank. Ghana between 79, when Liman came, from 81, when Rawlings came back to 1992, we didn't have any experimentation of democratic governance until we began in 1993, following the 1992 presidential election, which brought in Mr. Rawlings. So when you look at our background from before 92, a society largely based on authoritarian political philosophy, political culture. So I strongly believe that the framers of the Constitution had in mind that this new partisan politics we are introducing in our political system, it will not be appropriate for us to export that same system to the local areas. So let's give some time for this system to mature. And I remember in 1992, look at the nature of the voting. The ballot boxes were so such that...
and all of that.
Then we came to 96. So we've seen some significant strides, improvement being made after every election. So I believe strongly that the framers of the Constitution had in mind that we shouldn't be doing anything that will bring divisions. Some separation, these people are this, those people are that, into our local governance system. So let's have a system where all people will contest based on their merit. So I believe strongly that the framework, and looking at the time, it made a lot of sense. But there are some who also argue...
Has it been rendered moot today?
No, I think to an extent it has still been very effective, but there are also problems because based on the experiences we've had that a president will still appoint people from their political parties, and assemblymen, we still hear that they contest, they use the names of parties, and we even pick intelligence that some of the parties even do primaries, etc., secretly for who will contest in an electoral area. So when you look
and this intelligence, is it ever referred to the security institutions for investigations?
No, I don't think the secret, when they even hear that, they will be interested in that. They
Really?
they have a lot
It's
of
a
things.
breach of a constitutional provision.
No, the point, the way they do it, if they've met in your room, that you are the party boss in, let's say, Asankregwa, and this electoral area. So who should be our candidate? Who will go? Nobody will go and say.
When the people who sat in the room are subjected to a lie detector, you may be able to determine that.
But in Ghana, my brother, if you should apply a lie detector test in Ghana, that's why the Bible says, if God is counting iniquities, the politics, we know what we are in this country. At times we try not to confront. But I was saying something about the framers.
Yes.
You know, some people also have the constitution. They call it, those who interpret it, they have what they call the living constitution.
Yeah.
Some will try to say, this constitution was 1992. Let's apply it to our current circumstance.
Okay.
So let's look at, maybe the framers at the time, this was the right thing to do. But now looking at our time, maybe we may need some changes.
Okay.
But all these things must be contextualized. Let's look at it in our context. The nature of partisanship in Ghana. If we export it, if it's going to give us a problem, then people vote no. If people think that it will not give us a problem, let them vote yes. And this is something the voters themselves must make a call. That's why I believe that nobody should be able to impose his or her ideas or ideals on others when it comes to democracy. Educate the people to understand what the no means. Educate them to understand what the yes means. So that when they go there and they are voting no or they are voting yes, they know these are the implications. I always say choices have consequences. So once we decide on this, then we go by the effects.
Okay, so the no means maintaining the status quo.
The no means maintain the status quo. Okay. And you know, we've been hearing Parliament is also doing something. Yes, if the parliamentary process goes through, then that means, and there is no, it means there will still be election of MMDC, but it will not be based on partisan.
Okay.
Just like the way the status quo, the assembly
member. Would that be problematic?
No, I don't think it will be problematic.
Okay.
It will still, I think many people generally like the elections, but we are
MMDCs.
Divided on whether it should be partisan or non-partisan.
Okay. Now, I've heard the Catholic Bishops' Conference. They are insisting that there isn't enough education of the public and there's a lot of confusion out there. Indeed, they believe that you and your neighbors, the NCC, are the ones who have to take up this task. Is the Electoral Commission doing anything in that regard? No,
the Commission is doing a lot because, you know, we've rolled out some commercials on TV and we are making appearances like my colleague and I are doing now. But the electoral, when you look at our mandate, it is not so much of our job to go and tell people why they should vote, why they should vote. We are mandated to how they should vote so that we don't have spoiled ballots, rejected ballots, etc. But nevertheless, we've still gone out of our way, rolling out commercials, telling people elections, December 17th, we have a referendum, we have district assembly elections, we have unit committee, and we are doing that. So now we get the feeling, and based on the information we are getting from our officers on the ground, it's like people are now hearing a lot about the district assembly
My last question
elections.
to you is whether this, first, Kwekubako hinted of it. Secondly, Martin Pebu supports that. Thirdly, Dr. Kwako Friye, who is a Minister of State, also backed that particular claim. And there is also the president of the Catholic Bishops' Conference who says, why don't we defer, get people to understand it better, then we go into the election? Is the Electoral Commission ready for any such decision? You know, in our constitution, yes, the only elections in Ghana which are fixed is the parliamentary election and the presidential, the general election and the presidential election, which is December 7th, 2020. No matter what happens. No matter what happens, we have to. Unless maybe there is something so extraneous, so catastrophic, or so, if you like, angelic, which will warrant that we cannot do it on December 7th, 2020. Apart from that, you know, this district level elections and referendum, initially we proposed December 10th. And we came back and said, looking at our calendar, we could do it well on December 17th. So if there is a push from the authorities, you know, this election is largely being pushed by the Ministry of Local Government and District Assembly. So we work together
with them. So if there is a push, but the only thing I can assure you is that we can't accommodate any other elections apart from presidential and parliamentary elections in 2020.
So apart from that, we can't do this election in
No, we can't. It will not work with our schedule.
But
and that one, we make that call.
So if there's a deferment, it should happen within 2019.
2019.
Between January and...
We will not allow anything in 2020. Because it will affect our calendar. We have a presidential election, which by law, we are supposed to do it on December 17th.
Is there a financial cost if there's deferment?
Oh, certainly there will be financial cost. Well, election is a process.
Okay.
We started planning towards this election somewhere last year. This year, we've done limited registration. We've done exhibition. We've done a lot of things. We have recruited. Because of the referendum, we've engaged a lot of people to work on it. Because we will have people who are ballot issuers for referendum. So we've injected a lot of money.
My last question to you here, and I did ask you...
This is the second last question.
Final last question. Do you think it should be deferred?
No, from where I sit, I don't decide on those things, and I don't have a thinking on it. I'm a public servant, and my job is to make sure that
enough education has been done.
Oh, from where I sit, if even people are saying enough education has not been done, I think we still have the final stretch is there. Because you are looking at about 25 to 27, 29 days. Today is 19th, and the election is on 17th. So a lot, and at least in the last few weeks, we've seen a lot of enthusiasm, activeness. The political parties are doing a lot. Civil society, people are talking about it. So I still think that a lot is being done. I've seen NCC adverts on TV. I've seen, we are doing a lot. We are working with over 60 radio and television stations. So I think if there is a problem, you still have enough time to rescue it.
Doc, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Well, folks, you had Dr. Bosman Eric Asare. In fact, he's actually a Deputy EC Commissioner, charge of corporate resources and services, as they put it out there. He's the first guest I have today. After the break, my second guest will also from the Electoral Commission, another Deputy Commissioner, will be joining me on this particular conversation. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is UPfront. My name is Raymond Alkwa. In the conversation that we'll be having with the Electoral Commission, my first guest was the Deputy Commissioner in charge of corporate services. Now, my second guest is also a Deputy Commissioner. Mr. Samuel Tete is in charge of operations. He's the man on the ground delivering the elections, especially that referendum. Welcome, sir, to UPfront.
Thank you very much. And on the 17th of December, as we all know, all eligible voters will go to their various polling stations to cast their vote. The Commission started preparation way back. We started with the updating of the voters register, and then we followed it up with the exhibition exercise. We have also done a lot in terms of transfer of votes, and we've also made preparations towards special or early voting, which is slated for the 10th of December. In terms of our preparation, I will look at it on three areas, or let's say in three areas. First of all, let us look at the position on logistics. What are the things that we need so far as the elections are concerned? Our ballot boxes, election materials like validating stamps, tampered evidence envelopes, and all that. Generally, in terms of acquisition, or let's say procurement of logistics for the elections, we are far ahead and almost done with all logistics that we need. Then, in terms of personnel, like those people who are going to man the polling stations on election day, we have also recruited officials, we have trained them, we have interviewed them, and we have started training. The training are on three levels. First, we have what we call the KTT, the Key Trainers Training, which we had it last week.
Okay.
And followed by the TOT, which is done at the regional level. And then we have the grassroots training, that is the officials who will be recruited to man the polling stations on election day. So the grassroots training is slated for next week, and all officials recruited interviewed will be trained. When you look at other preparations, like maybe notices and then ballots and other things, notices of pool are currently being printed for the DLE, that of the referendum we have completed. And we are deploying vehicles to the regional offices to have them sent to the district. So in terms of notice of pool for the referendum, we have actually completed. We are also having that of the ballots also printed. Notice of pool for the unit committee district assembly elections are currently in progress, as well as the printing of the ballots. So in terms of printing of notices of poll and ballot papers also, we hope to complete all those ones in about 2 weeks' time, which is well ahead of the elections. So in terms of the commission's preparations, looking at logistics, looking at the personnel that we'll use, and then looking at other things that we require, like transfers and then early voting, we have worked on all that. So come 17 December, the commission is prepared to conduct the referendum as well as the district level elections.
How much was devoted for this exercise? How much would it cost us to do December 17?
The current, the figure I cannot actually...
if you disaggregate it, for the referendum alone, how much is it costing us?
In terms of how much it will cost, unless maybe I check this in the figures. In fact, I haven't actually looked at how much. Yes, how much? Yes, it will.
Now,
cost.
I get you are more the operations guy.
Yes.
You are more the man on the ground, telling us what's really happening and giving us up-to-date information. So, which day can you state categorically that all is done and ready for the elections?
Per the commission's calendar, per our roadmap, by the 10th of December, we should finish with everything in terms of printing, procurement of logistics, and sending them to the regions. So 10th is the date that we have actually earmarked.
Do you have enough money for all of your activities?
Yes, in fact, we've procured almost all the things that we need. Those that we even haven't procured, it means that they are in the process of procuring them, and then will be delivered even before the 10th. Because by the 10th, all materials might have been sent to the field.
I know you don't have the figure in mind, but what percentage of the budget have been released to you so far? Budget for the election?
For the elections, maybe I may say between 70–80% almost.
That's impressive.
Yes.
So you don't have a problem with government on money issues? You don't have to hackle back and forth with them?
No, so far as funds for the conduct of the referendum as well as the district elections are concerned, we don't have any challenge with the release of funds.
And this 80%, how much has been spent already? Almost all?
Well, what happens is that we don't actually spend all the money.
Oh, okay, even when they're released to you.
That is it. So it depends upon which activity that we have.
Requires, yeah.
That is it.
If the referendum is cancelled today, would it cost us any monetary, in terms of monetary hence?
Really, because of, election activity is a process. And before we get to the election day, you find out that we have to do a lot of things. For instance, if we look at the printing of the notice of poll for the referendum as well as the ballots which we have actually done, that is where we will actually say that we may have lost some sort of funds so far as that aspect is concerned.
Okay.
Then if it is also not done, we are also just about going to train our officials.
Of course,
and then we have and then we have already recruited them, and we are going to train them next week. So in case we also train them and we don't also use them, then definitely that is also going to be a challenge.
It's an interesting development, but one grouping that sometimes you train are agents of the various groups.
Yes.
But now, it used to be political parties. I'm confused whether there will be agents for yes or no on the ground on the day.
Yes, the CIA provides for agents for both yes or no.
Who qualifies to do that?
Interested groups or parties or individuals.
So can I walk in and say that I am an ardent supporter of the no vote?
Yes.
Please, I want to be an agent at Legon Hall, Maine.
Yes. What you have to do is that you have to get accreditation. You just don't walk in.
Okay.
And then, so you first of all apply to the commission. You can apply to the regional director or maybe the district officer or the chairperson of the commission. And normally what we do is we find out, we do a little checks on the backgrounds of those organizations and institutions and all that. Then we give you the accreditation before you can go in as...
So is it first come, first serve basis? Can two people apply to be agent for a single polling station pursuing the same course?
Once the law says an individual, institution, or maybe interested parties can apply, yeah, it depends. If maybe two people are...
I mean, in the absurd forms, if 50 people apply to be a polling agent for no at a polling station...
Yeah, what we do is that we have the number which is required of an agent, you know, at a polling station.
Oh, okay.
For instance, if had it been the presidential parliamentary elections, you can't say you're a political party, so you are bringing about 50 agents. No.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
So
So
in this
you are
case,
required to have one agent.
So
what
how-
we normally do is that you may bring about, you may give us about 2 or 3 names, so that
Okay.
in case maybe one is indisposed or maybe is
the other
tired
person
or
can
the other
replace.
person can replace
Okay,
it.
so that's interesting to note how it's going to go on the ground that day. So the agent is qualified for the pre-voting, the special voting.
There is the law requires that with the early voting or let's say special votings, we have 3 categories of people. One, those who are taking part in the election duties, that is our officials. And then the second one is the security,
Yeah,
you know, the security agencies.
Yes.
And then we also added the media.
that's true.
So 3, the media, the security agencies,
and your
then
officials.
and the election officials.
And your officials don't include agents.
No, if you are an official,
Yeah.
well, you can be an agent,
Okay.
but you cannot be our official.
I get you. So the agents are not qualified for special voting.
The agents for political parties, or let's say the district level elections, are not. What I said was the 3 people
groupings
that is
that are qualified.
Very good.
Now,
The media, the security, as well as our election officials.
Now, this concept about agents and how they can represent a concept no or yes on that particular day, is it something that, as we speak, there's still time for people to apply or there isn't any deadline at all?
There is still time for people to apply.
When is the deadline?
The deadline, I haven't actually looked at it, but
it should be before the election,
it
right?
should be before
is
the
it
elections.
close to that? But is there a time
yes,
that
because
it is close
maybe
impossible
by
to
by early December.
Okay.
Yes, because of the few background checks that we have
That's
to do.
required of you.
And then secondly, we have to give them the accreditation cards and all that, which we also need
Is
to.
application open today?
Oh, definitely, if you apply, we can actually process it.
Oh, I can see. So people can apply today
People can apply. we can
and
process
go through the process and become
go through the
agents.
process and become agents of either yes or no.
Now, the issue moves beyond the yes or no vote. I was asking about preparations prior to the day.
Yeah.
Is there anything that on the day I should know? But forgive me, even before I come to that question, I'm interested in knowing whether or not, mostly, this is assembly elections.
Yeah.
And this is a referendum part of this election. You mount platforms, you give the candidates the opportunity. Have you finished with all of those processes?
Yes, you are right. Because with the district level elections, it is non-partisan. Normally what we do is we mount a common platform for all the candidates, to sell their manifesto or maybe whatever they want to tell the electorates. That's a platform for them to let people know them and they know what they have. So the commission has stated from the 1st up to 14th. So the commission is going to mount a common platform for all people who actually file their nominations to stand as assemblymen and women, and that of the unit. And it is non-partisan. The political parties cannot actually sponsor any candidates or mount any platform. It is exclusively for the commission.
I see. And when are you going to do this?
That is from the 1st up to 14th of December.
Oh, well,
that is the time that we have actually...
2 weeks into December.
Precisely.
All right, so now we are virtually left with that process to go through.
Precisely.
For those who do not know what the do's and don'ts are, what is a candidate seeking to be elected assemblyman or unit committee member expected not to do, apart from not having the backing of a political party?
Yes. In fact, all we know with the DC level elections is that it is not partisan, it is not being sponsored by any political party, and then we want all candidates to know that. With the don'ts, what we have to note is that voting twice or multiple voting is an offense. We would want or urge all candidates not to push people into that.
But there will be verification, right?
Yes, there will be verification.
Okay.
But at times, certain issues actually lead to that. Though you will be verified, we also don't have to forget about the use of the manual verification form if you are not verified.
If you can go through the main process.
Precisely, you know. So, apart from that, you know, the candidates must also know that it is not, it's an offense to actually try to sell your vote, or let's say buy a vote. You know, it is something which, if you are caught, you can be prosecuted. Then we also know that votes are secret. You know, per our laws, some people actually go to the booths, and then after they have actually marked the ballot, they also show it. Others also send phones and other things to the polling booths, and then take pictures and all that, which undermines the secrecy of voting. So either you buy or sell votes, you do multiple voting, or you willfully prevent someone from exercising his franchise of voting. That one is also an offense. So there are others, but the three critical ones: preventing someone and then trying to vote twice, or maybe selling your votes or buying, is an offense, and it's subject to a fine or imprisonment, or both.
Oh, that's a serious one.
Yes.
Now, let me ask this question. On the day of election, can I go there when I can't find my ID card?
Yes. What people are thinking is that maybe if you've lost your ID card, or if it is missing, it means you've lost the chance to go and then vote. No. If you've lost your ID card, you can still go to the polling station and then vote. If you go to the polling station, the only thing is you must know which polling station you are expected to vote. Other than that, you move from one polling station to the other without knowing, because you may, if you don't have the information, you think you belong to this police station, you go and waste time. You move to the other police station, you go and then waste time.
So without my ID card,
without your ID card,
I go to Legon Hall Main.
Precisely.
I can actually...
So you mention your name, first of all. You know, when you get to the police station, where we have both the referendum, the assembly, and then the unit, we have 6 officials over there. We have the presiding officer, who is in charge of the police station. We have the name reference list of that, the verification officer, ballot issuer 1, ballot issuer 2, and then ballot issuer 3. Okay. So you go to the name reference list officer. He will check the register. If your name is there, you know, then
your corresponding picture.
Yes, he will just look at you and then try to find out.
The one.
Very good. Then,
if it is me who has grown bigger since I registered.
Yes, of course. There may be some changes and other things, but definitely, if your name is in the register, yes, if your name is in the register, then it means that you can vote. And the second added advantage is when you are verified.
Oh, the verification.
The verification, the BVT is there, yes. So you must be verified by the verification device. It's only when you are not verified that you can actually use the manual verification form.
So take us through the process. I have arrived at the police station.
Yes.
Which one am I voting on first?
Yes, so we have 3 elections
Yeah.
on the day. The first ballot that you will be given is the referendum. And that one, it is yes or no. Yes for the yellow, and then no for the dark brown. You are expected to vote either yes or no.
Not black and white.
Not black and white, of course.
No
we
blue and green.
No, we actually met
So yes
as a commission.
Yellow.
Yes.
So yellow is, yes is green light. Go.
No, yes is yellow.
Yes is yellow.
Yes, and then the dark brown is no. In fact,
Dark
we
brown is
actually
no.
insisted, or not insisted as said, but we thought that it would be very good to use the colors that we used during the referendum for the creation of the new regions. And it's the same colors. Yeah, it's the same colors. We didn't actually change, because that is what we used. And we thought that that is what the people know, and changing it might actually...
So referendum is the first one?
Yes, so the referendum
you
is the
pick
first
a ballot that has those 2 colors on it?
Yes, you pick the ballot that has 2 colors.
No
on
other
it.
symbols?
No, nothing, So what you have to do...
yes written on it and no
yes,
written on
yes, it's written on it. If I had one, I would have actually shown it to you.
Okay.
So the ballot issuer will fold the ballot for you. We normally teach them how to fold the ballot paper, because if you don't fold it properly,
ink might be transferred to another side.
Precisely, So that is the first ballot that you actually have. And then the second one is for the assembly. That one, you are expected to vote or thumbprint for 1 candidate.
I see.
Only 1. And then the third one is the last one, which is the unit. And that one we are expected to thumbprint, or let's say vote for not more than 5, 5 candidates. The reason why we did that arrangement is not to, because, people actually get confused.
Sorry, would you have to go vote, come back for another ballot paper? Or
yes,
you take all papers at the same time?
No, you will not take all the papers at the same time. We have 3 ballot issuers. The polling station is set in such a way that when you get to the presiding officer is the one in charge of the polling station. Then you go to the name reference list officer, who will check your name in the register and all that, and then refer you to the verification officer, who will take you through the verification device, the BVD. Then you go to the first ballot issuer. So the first ballot issuer is for the referendum. He will fold it for you and then give it to you. You go to the booth and then you cast your vote. Then you come back to the second ballot issuer
to vote for the assemblyman.
To vote for the assemblyman, and he or she will also fold it in a way and then give it to you. You go and thumbprint it in the screen, you cast your ballot, and then you move to the third ballot issuer, which is for the unit. And he will also fold it and then give it to you, and then you thumbprint for 5 candidates. If you thumbprint,
there are more than 5 candidates on the sheet.
Yes, there are more than 5.
You have to choose 5 out of the existing number.
Yes, out of the existing.
Not 1.
Well, if you choose 1, well, we will count it as a valid ballot. If you choose 2, we will count. 3, up to 5, we will take it as a valid ballot. If it's 6, it's only any thumbprinted ballot which is above 6 that we will count as rejected.
I see. In that case,
in that case,
unit committee
that's in the unit committee elections. So for orderly purposes, and in order not to confuse maybe voters, that is why we made it 1, 1, and then 5. So that it will not be as if maybe you vote 1, you come 5, and then 1.
Okay, that's interesting.
So
first ballot is the referendum.
The
second
referendum.
ballot is your assemblyman. The third ballot is the unit committee members. You choose out of the many 5 that you would want to be on your unit committee.
Precisely.
Now, can I vote for only referendum and leave?
Well, voting is your right.
It's a civic responsibility.
Yes, civic responsibility. So we, under normal circumstances, believe that if you vote in the referendum, you don't need to wait for someone to make a choice for you. You have to vote in the assembly or the unit. I hope you get me, all the 3.
Yeah, because however, me, for example, I'm interested in the referendum question.
Yes.
Is the reason why I'll drive to Legon to do that.
Yes.
But I don't know the people who are contesting for the assembly and the unit committee. I don't know them from anywhere.
Yes. So if you don't know them and you don't want to vote for them, it is not illegal.
It's not compulsory.
It's not compulsory. You know, in Ghana, voting is not compulsory. Registration is also not compulsory.
I see.
I hope you get me. So you can actually choose to vote in the referendum and then vote for the assembly, but decide not to vote
for
even
unit committee.
Yes.
Okay.
What we normally detest and then what we normally don't want voters to do is that you go and then collect the ballot paper, but will not go and then cast the vote and then you send the ballot paper away. It is illegal.
You can't take the ballot paper away.
You can't take the ballot paper. It's illegal to be in possession of
a ballot paper.
Of a ballot paper.
Outside the voting confines.
Precisely. You know. So that is what we are cautioning.
You can't go and think about your vote and come and vote.
Yes, so that's the only challenge.
The referendum. Now let's focus on that one alone.
Yeah.
The referendum. Would there be people educating people at the polling station prior to voting on this that you took me through, this process you took me through?
Yes. The issue is this. We carry out education. And that is what, as EC, we've been doing.
Yeah. But I'm asking, when I get to the polling station, is there anybody who is going to direct me? The referendum is about this or that question. If you want to start with that, join this queue and go to this man. Is there anybody going to do that for me?
The presiding officer is the only person whom you can actually talk to.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes, and our election official. So any other person is like maybe campaigning
so
for
and
yes
no
or no
campaigner
vote.
Or an agent cannot say, join and vote no for us.
No, you cannot.
You can't do
By
that.
By law, you can't do that.
I get you, but they can't tell them what is the difference.
No, if you have any...
This is a fairly complicated system.
Yes.
3 elections in one is a bit complex.
If you have any challenge at the police station, get to the presiding officer or any of our officials.
Okay.
That is the...
How are they identified?
Our officials will be wearing the Electoral Commission jackets. So it is actually written on it, Electoral Commission, polling assistant, and all that. So we are identified by our jackets.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you approach the man, you can ask any question you want to ask in relation to the election today.
Oh, yes. If you don't have
Are there proxy voters expected in this election?
Yes. We have also application for proxies and transfers ended last week.
So nobody can make an application, fresh one?
No. No.
But there are people who came to apply?
Yes.
And they are participating in the election?
Definitely.
Will they go through a different process than the ordinary person going to vote?
Yes. You know, when you ask someone to vote on behalf of you, you know, the two should come from the same police station.
I see.
Definitely, yes. Because you cannot, because of the use of the PVD, yes, you have to come from the same police station. First of all, you vote for yourself.
You go through your first election.
That is it. And definitely this thing will be there. The indelible ink will be there. But when you have the proxy form, you know, that is where you can actually vote for the one who asks you to vote for. Yes.
I see.
So,
and the proxy form cannot be carried by 2 people?
No.
With the
that
claim
is
to vote
when
for the
you apply for the proxy, you are given... Yes.
You handed the proxy to, it's also identified there and there?
Yes, because you have the form. The one who asks the proxy, they have the forms, and then the EC also has a copy of the form.
Okay.
Yes, that is how it is.
What's the expected turnout? What are you targeting?
With the unit committee and then the assembly elections, that one, it is the normal voter turnout, whether they are able to come out in their numbers or not.
Less than 50%.
Yes, I should think so. Yes, less than 50%. But with that of the referendum, you know, that is where the challenge is. We must have 40% of eligible voters turning out, you know, to come and then cast their vote.
So if I don't go to the polling station, I'm voting no?
Well, if you had also gone to the polling station, you could have also voted yes. You know?
Yes. So I'm asking,
you could have voted yes.
If I don't want this referendum to decide a yes, my absence at the polling station equally means a no.
Your absence will not necessarily mean, because if you had also been there...
Sorry, I'm asking. There's a threshold required.
Required, okay.
That threshold is 40%.
Yes. So
if I don't turn up to add up to the 40%,
it may not necessarily voting no, but maybe we may not actually get the required 40%,
which will make the referendum not happen at all.
Yes, then it means the issue is not going to, because if you don't get a threshold of 40%, it means that we will not even bother ourselves to find out whether those who came to vote actually will constitute the 75% that we want.
Would that require a rerun? If the people don't,
no, yes,
the 40%?
Yes, the 40%, no. If we don't actually get the 40%, that ends the issue.
That is an effective rejection of the referendum.
Precisely. Yes.
That's it.
That is it.
Okay, so the 40%, is it all the people who have registered and they have their names on the voters register?
Yeah, those who have registered, they have their names on the voters register, and who have come to vote.
I'm confused.
Yes.
So it is, let's say there are 1,000 people on the voters register.
Yes.
The 1,000,
yes,
we expect 40% to turn up.
Yes.
If the 40% turns up,
yes,
we have ticked the first box.
Yes.
And after ticking the first box, it is out of that 40% that we expect 75%
yes,
to vote yes.
Yes.
For this to go through.
That is it.
Okay. On the other side, if the people who turn up to come and vote are not up to 40%,
yes,
it's a rejection of the
there will be
referendum.
No need, yes, there will be no need for even looking for the 75%, because it's a rejection. Yes, we will not. Yes, we will not actually go ahead.
And so, counter the ballot is the first thing you do.
Yes.
To determine the 40%.
Yes, that is it. Because
would this be based on? Would this be based on polling station by polling station analysis, or collectively the whole nation will be a single polling station?
Yes. What?
So this 40% I'm asking, is it 40% in Legon Hall Main as a polling station?
40% of all the votes, because
in the country.
Yes, because the issue is each district is sending its form through the region to the National Coalition Center.
Office here.
That is because the chairperson is the returning officer for
in this referendum.
That is it.
Now, that's an interesting perspective. Today, how many registered voters do you have?
We have 31,800 and...
Registered
voters. Sorry. It's about 16 million.
16
million is the number of polling stations, which is 31,800.
Oh, now polling stations are 31,000.
Yes.
You have created more.
Yes.
Or expanded the existing one.
Yeah, we have the split. You know, after the registration, we had... we decided on the threshold of 850 per polling station, you know. So we will not go beyond 850 registered voters per polling station. So that actually gave us 31,851 polling stations. So they are split. Any polling station which is more than 851, we split it. More than 850, we split it.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, so that there will be a smaller space, so that the election can be done quickly.
Precisely.
And we can leave the place.
Precisely.
Now, one of the questions that are important in this is, so at least if there are 16 million that are supposed to be on our voters register,
yes,
does it take into consideration people who are dead, the people who have traveled, who will never come for the elections? This 40%, that's what I'm concentrating on.
Yes,
we are almost 40%, almost 6.4 million out of the 60 million.
Yes.
So at least we need more than 6 million people to be there.
That's what is
turn
making
up on the day.
Yeah, that's what is making the bloating of the voters register a challenge to some of these questions of
true.
Yes, because we have so many dead names on the register which we have not expunged and other things. So if you take the 60 million on a day, quite it's a big number. But in actual fact, you may not actually have
60 million who are registered voters in this country, actively alive and can vote on the day.
Yes, on the face of it.
On the face of it.
Yes.
Now, let me ask this question. So the 6 million is it's about 6 million we expect to turn up that day.
Well, yeah, of course.
On the average, what is this assembly election turn up?
On the it hovers around 32, 39, 40, thereabout. Yes, not much.
So it's not very far from the threshold for this referendum.
Oh, yes, if you look at it in terms of that, because I think the last one was about 40 or so.
Okay, there's 39% also that we are told. Now,
so
to be factually clear, when the elections happen on 17th, when will we know that this referendum has been accepted or rejected?
Because they are coming from the districts and then the regions, you know. The challenge at times is results from the overseas, or let's say the riverine areas. Elections from
there are places that you have to cross water,
yes, you have to cross water and all that, because definitely all those results will have to come before we start the collation and all that. So we, as an EMB, as a commission, is making all efforts to get all police station results from the river.
What's your target? 48 hours? 36 hours?
Yeah, it will be less than 48. Normally, per convention, 72 hours. I hope you get me. So maybe the next
time. I thought we have evolved.
It's because of the system that we have adopted. You know, the fax system from the constituency through the region to the National Collation Center. Unlike the political parties who can use ordinary WhatsApp and then scan it. But we are thinking about that.
It's like a test case for the national elections, isn't it? Because it's going to be a national one.
Yes, that is it. And
in all 16 regions.
Precisely.
And you have offices in all the 16 regions now?
Yeah.
You have district offices in all of the districts?
We have asked for the districts. You know,
some
they were
districts
there.
have been upgraded into regional offices now?
Oh, in some of the regions, they are using some of the districts at the regional office in the interim.
Oh, okay.
But some of them have also gotten the regional offices, and we are trying as much as possible to get all offices for the regions, the newly created ones. But the old ones, they all have. Yes. So what
we talked about agents. Forgive me, because it's my time's up. We talked about agents.
Yeah.
The question I'm asking you right now is, who will be the agent in the final collation room for the yes and no votes?
Unless we get application from those who are interested.
At the top.
If we don't get, then we don't have
the electoral commission said will do the election.
Yes. And then announce it, because if we don't have the agent, we can't go and then pull people to become agents. No. So they have to apply. But currently, we haven't actually received any application for either yes or no.
Not at all.
We haven't. Well, today, if it is in the pipeline, yes, that one. But for now, there is nothing on our decks for either yes or no.
Many thanks to you, sir, for joining us here today.
Thank you.
I appreciate your coming, and surely we'll be getting more updates from you as and when the need arises. But we appreciate your coming today.
Thank you.
Well, folks, this is where we end today's edition of Upfront. My name is Raymond Alqua. So in this interesting conversation, I actually had a chat with two big bosses at the EC, the one in charge of corporate resources and services, and the one in charge of operations, who I just spoke to, Samuel Tete. Thank you so much once again for watching.